Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August 31st. You know what Labor Day means? It means fun, and a lot of times fun on the water. It also means being careful out there. If you're looking for that safety equipment, come see us at Bucks Island, or if you need a little help getting on the water, come see us over here. But we're going to be right back with what the guys have to say about the fishing report. Hey, we got Lee Pitt's going to talk a little bit of fishing right there in our area around the dealership. Hey, Lee, let's start with Neely Henry. What's going on that river?
You might as well be prepared to get ready for a lot of traffic down there this weekend. I mean, it's kind of the last hurrah for everybody, and it's going to be a lot of traffic on the water. So go and have that in your mind before you get out there. If you're going to want to do some bass or crappie fishing, try to get out early. Get on out there, try to beat that heat a little bit, because this weekend, once that sun gets up 10, 11 o'clock and that heat starts pouring down, everybody's going to want to get those feet in the water. So Neely's doing pretty good. I had some guys this last week, had a tournament there, and they caught a lot of fish on topwater and some moving baits. They slowed down with a 1/4 ounce buzz bait. The grass bite wasn't real good. I think they'd pulled some water downriver and got some of the water off of that grass. But seawalls were really holding some fish. No real big fish, but a lot of 2, 2.5, and a couple of 3-pounders. So, if you can get out early, a little prop bait, a smaller buzz bait, slowing it down, something they don't really have to chase a lot, you can have some action before all the traffic gets out there.
Is the crappie bite an offshore thing, or you see them around docks at all?
Now, if you've got some of the docks here, Canoe Creek, some of those places, the going down river that does have a little bit of depth on it, there's some small crappie on that, but the majority of them are holding tight to that brush cover. I got out there this week. I've been playing with some of our new Garland jig heads, and those head turners, it's got those little blades on it. You can kind of get vertical over some of that deeper stuff, and really, I've caught some pretty good fish, Neely and Weiss, this last week, just trying to play with the new heads that we got out from Garland.
All right, tell me about Weiss Lake. We got about 45 seconds left.
Weiss is about the same, only our water has been pulled down quite a bit. We've not had much rain. So if you're wanting to come up this river and really try to look for that grass bite, you see a lot of brown stems right now. It's probably 6, maybe more, 6 inches, maybe more low. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith in that unless it's that right at daylight bite, something that you can kind of pitch in there. Some plastics have been good. But catching fish offshore, stumps, brush piles, and the dock bite is picked up here. We got a lot of docks in that 4, 5, 6 foot range. If you can find those docks with brush around them and plenty of shade, 6-inch worm has been good. Even some guys have been throwing some Senkos under there, just something real slow, and they can skip it way back in that dark stuff. And also our crappie bite's picking up. It's getting that time. Water temperature's cooling down a little bit. Most of the week it's been 84, 85. So it's coming down some, but the crappie bite, they're starting to get on that deeper brush. Like I said, once again, I've been playing with those new jig heads from Garland and catching some fish, starting to see more fish on the hummingbirds getting up in that brush, 14, 16, 18 foot of water. You would.
Lee, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. We will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we got our man Gentry Gordy going to join us right here, talk a little bit of fishing on Lake Martin and Jordan Lake. Gentry, let's start at Jordan Lake. Let's start with the brim bite. What are you hearing out of there?
I haven't heard anything, but I've seen some, Dano, up shallow around some docks, especially the floating side. If you can find a floating dock, sitting in, and they're everywhere, 4 or 5 foot of water. You can look up under there and see some brim swimming around.
Get you some mealworms and have a little bit of fun, I bet, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you'll see, and there's bass around them too. But they're just hard to find. Right now we're not having any rain, so they're not, they're only going to pull that water first thing in the morning, late in the afternoon.
Yep.
So your best bet on Jordan right now really is to, number wise is to go up the river, or the canals. I did talk to a friend of mine though that caught some pretty good fish on some deeper trash piles throwing a crankbait. Said it's been dragging a worm and stuff. It said it seemed like the moving bite picked up just a little bit. But he said if you didn't hit the trash pile with a crankbait, then they wouldn't hit it. You had to hit that trash pile to get them to react to it, I guess.
Got to get them triggered.
Yeah, that's right. I hadn't heard much on the grass bite, and I just hadn't had a chance to go up there. I'm sure you can still go up there and flip a big weight and get bit. Just the size of numbers, I'm not sure of.
All right, let's turn our attention to Martin. I know the night bite's probably still pretty decent with them green light docks. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, and this weekend, I just don't know if that's the weekend to go to Martin. If you do go early, there is a top water bite, but it's over at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, before the sun gets up, that water's pretty warm, as clear as it is. And it's like, the fish that pull up there at night, they're still there first thing in the morning, more so than they are late in the afternoons. I haven't got a good top water bite late in the afternoons lately. But yeah, first thing in the morning, top water. If you want to try to brave it, once that sun gets up, I'd go deep. Otherwise, you'd be better off to go up there at night and find those green lights and, just throw a black spinnerbait around some places, especially when you find like the seawalls that's kind of lit up enough where you can see the cast. A black spinnerbait and black buzzbait, stuff like that will get bit.
I gotta love a jig when I'm night fishing, man.
Always.
Gentry, man, I appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again soon, brother. Hey, we're here with Tom Ott, going to talk Guntersville fishing. Tom, I know we talked last week about finding some brim beds up there. Is that still going on? And are the bass eating them?
The bass they're eating something. They just haven't been on my lure. I know that. It's I'm telling you guys, I think the last couple of weeks, and it could just be, my timing possibly, but the pressure's been extremely high. We've had some really cool nights, really hot days. And I think that really, that sparked the fish a lot. And now we're starting to get back into those really warm evenings and hot nights, and still hot days. And I don't know if I don't know if it's the fish can't figure out what they're doing or just Tom can't figure out what they're doing. But I've had a little bit of a streak here the last couple of weeks. It's just been extremely tough. Very few bites, seeing a lot of fish, following the bait. I have fished some shallow, mostly out, 12 to 25 foot deep, but it's just been a real grind for me. I'm sure, there's always somebody catching them, that deal, but it's just been really tough. And I think that, still the best time is early in the morning, late at night, or at night, which is, I'm just going to change gears and go hit it at night again. I think that's the best way to catch fish, but at least right at this time. Now, as far as the brim go, again, I heard Gentry talking about them under the docks, and I don't get around a whole lot of docks over there on Guntersville, but I do see a lot of brim. When you launch, there are brim everywhere. I was noticing Jennifer was picking me up at the dock, and I was seeing, brim just cuddled up under the front of the boat there. So they were just looking for shade. Anytime you see brim like that, the bass are going to be close by. I think maybe decision time would be to throw a nice swim jig, kind of a brim looking swim jig in some of those 5 to 6 foot areas of grass. However, I opted for the bait fish program, and it just didn't pan out that well. So, there's always time to try something else. But it's been a little tough. I have heard some crappie news. The crappie are starting to kind of move around again. Some guys are catching them at night on the causeways. And that seems like that's always going. But when you start seeing those guys, that the crappie are on the move. So, just get ready. I'm ready for a little cooler weather and a little bit of crappie fishing myself.
Yeah, well, one thing I know that I've figured out over the years is that if Tom's not catching them, it's Butler's fault. So it's got to be Butler's issue. It's not yours. So, Tom, brother, we appreciate everything. Tell St. Jennifer we said hi, and we'll talk to you again next week. Hey, we got Josh Herring going to join us here. We're going to talk a little Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Josh, let's start with how in the world would you navigate Logan Martin this week? Just jumping and bumping.
It's going to be jumping and bumping. I would advise you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's man, it's that time of year. I don't want to be negative, Nancy. It's just tough right now. I mean, and it's tough top to bottom on the Coosa River. It's no real one stands out more than the other. I think one of the biggest problems we're having right now is kind of the lack of flow. Making the dissolved oxygen level in the water is really, really low. And that spans the whole Coosa. And when that happens, these fish get really, really lethargic. I think they're more active in 45-degree water in the wintertime, to be honest with you, than they are in 90-plus degree water in the summertime, which doesn't sound right. But just watching them, whether it be live scope or whatever, just the way they move, it seems like there's a lot of fish that are just honestly just sitting there. They're not doing a lot of chasing. They're not doing a lot of anything. So you're almost having to approach it like a winter pattern where you're having to move really, really slow, dragging stuff of that nature, unless you can find a few that are actually kind of swirled around on bait chasing.
Isn't there the opposite effect can happen though, is that when they get up there shallow, you can go heavy and just make something rocket by them that they respond to?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. The middle ground, like your traditional fishing right now, seems to be suffering, like technique wise. You either need to go really, really slow or really, really fast.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, end of the day, they're opportunistic feeders. You drag something by them, the right moment in time, they're going to eat it regardless, pretty much what it is. Your options are leave it in front of their face where it just kind of hangs out and you give them a lot of time to think about it, or the exact opposite end of that. You blow it past them so fast that they don't really have a time to make a decision. It's either eat it or get out of the way.
Yep, and biggest thing right now is to be safe out there and watch out for that boat traffic. Have a little fun while you're doing it. Folks, appreciate everything. Josh, appreciate you. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August 31st. We hope you guys have a wonderful Labor Day. We're open till noon today. If you need that last little item to get you out there on the water, whether it's fishing stuff or something to keep the boat running, we're here till noon. Come see us at Bucks Island. We will talk to you again next week. Never forget, you are the best part of Bucks Island, and we appreciate you.